everyone, Sam here at Model Chili Scale Models, and here is pack number 2 of the Agora Models 1965 Shelby Cobra in 1/8 scale. Now I'm very pleased to say that Agora Models have agreed to send me all of the packs needed to build the complete model. So a big thanks to them for providing me the opportunity to show you guys how this thing is going to turn out, which will be the first fully completed car on the channel. So that should be quite interesting. So here is pack number 2, which is building up, or continuing to build up, the Cobra's engine. So as you can see, there's lots of packs of multiple engine parts, all in plastic and die-cast metal. So I've printed out the instructions, and let's get stuck into it. Alright, so starting with pack number 1, or stage 7 of the build, this will be assembling the alternator. Alright, so putting together the alternator housing. So here, just using the screwdriver that was provided in pack number 1. And so now I need to join this alternator housing up with the oil filter from pack number 1. Just screw them into those holes there. Alright, so that's stage 7 complete, and a couple of extra screws. So moving on to stage 8. So here is stage 8, which is the water pump pulley, crankshaft pulley, and timing belt cover. So just attaching the water pump pulley onto the previous assembly there, and using a type 03 screw. Now just wrapping around the timing belt, around all of these 3. Make sure it's not twisted, which it is. There we go, that's better. Alright, so that's stage 8 complete. Now on to stage 9. Okay, so stage 9 and 10 are the left and right cylinder head covers and exhaust manifold pipes. So I'll just do those in one go. So the cylinder heads are cast in metal, which gives them a nice weight and a nice finish. So it just adds to that look of realism for the engine. So each pipe actually has a number on the end, which correlates to the number in the cylinder head, so that makes things just a little bit easier, especially lining these up, which are quite a complex shape. And so that's number 4. Just push those in. No glue required, which is what I really like about builds like this. It's kind of like a nice mix between Lego and model building, whereas you have the sort of stress-free build of a Lego set where there's no glue or painting required, but you kind of get the extra realism that our model kits offer. So yeah, it's kind of a nice combination of both. There we go, easy. So that's stage 9 and 10 complete. Now on to stage 11. Now for stage 11, which is the rocker covers, caps and spark wire holders. So now just attaching the rocker covers to the exhaust manifolds. So there's a L indicator on each part just to make sure you're getting the right side lined up. And that fits on there, and now I just need to screw in a couple of screws under here. And now just clipping in the spark wire holders. The instructions say that there's a flat side and a tapered side, and the flat side should point towards the Shelby logo. So I think that's the flat side there. So it should fit in like that. Alright, so there's stage 11 complete. Now on to stage 12, which is the distributor, fuel filter, ignition coil and cylinder head cap. So taking the distributor and attaching it to the engine block assembly that was in part 1. Oops. So that just clips in there and then secures with a type 3 screw. And the fuel filter clips onto that side, and again is secured with another screw. Now attaching the cylinder head cover cap into the previous cylinder head assembly. Just clips in there. And now for the ignition coil, that clips on just underneath. Yep. The shape of the peg matches the shape of the hole, so you're not likely to put it on upside down. There. Alright, so that's stage 12 finished. So moving on to 13, we're getting through this at quite a pace. This is the engine blocks and cooling fluid tank bracket. So as you can hear, these parts are also cast in metal and have a really nice weight to them. So this is just a case of attaching the engine blocks to the cylinder head assemblies, and again we've got Letters are there for right, so just to make sure you're attaching the right part on each place. So we've got 2 right pieces, and this will go this way. There we've got some handy pegs just to line everything up, and again just attaching with screws which will go up in there. Get a nice secure fit. Right, so that's the right side. So this cooling fuel tank bracket is loose, but that will be used in a later stage according to the instructions. So I'll just put that aside. And there we have stage 13 complete. So moving on to stage 14, we've got the flywheel cover, gearbox, inspection cover, gearbox, rods in this long bag. So the first step was just to screw a couple of type 7 screws into the inspection plate. Now moving on to flywheel covers. So they line up with each engine block assembly. So I'll need the right side first. And there, and I need some type 3 screws. And the left side of the flywheel cover attaches to this side, and then just a couple more screws to go in there. Now this is all screwed on, but it's a little bit loose, which is gonna get on my nerves a little bit. So I'm just gonna unscrew this and see if there's a way I can tighten it back up again. So let's screw there. It's already quite tight. That's a little bit better. Yeah, it's as tight as I can get it, unfortunately, so I'm just going to have to live with the rattle. Alright, so attaching the gearbox, so we'll need the right side, which attaches there and screwed in. Now fitting in the inspection plate, lining up the screws there with the notches on the side. and then attaching the left side of the gearbox. Doesn't seem to want to slide in on the other side. We just check. Seems to be okay this side. Yeah, I just can't seem to close it up on this side for some reason. Okay, this is much better fit. So what I ended up doing was just loosening these screws from the inspection plate just a little bit, and I was able to fit that on there and then close up that gap. So yeah, that was a easy enough fix, but yeah, just took a little bit of figuring out as to how to close that gap up again. Alright, so now installing the gearbox rods. I had to inspect the instructions a little bit just to figure out which rod is which. So I'm pretty sure this is rod number 3, which I need to attach to these points here. Just move stuff around a bit, it's getting a bit cramped in here. And rod number 1, which goes from this way, here, oh no, other way. And like that. So, I did earlier mention that you don't really need glue for this, but these are a bit loose, so I might just put a little dab of super glue on the end of each of these just to fix them in place. And this doesn't look right actually. Oh, this is what I want next. This is rod number 1, and that goes from here to here. Okay. So this rod bracket slots into here. Alright, and then finally rod number 2, which this is, goes from here into here. And the instructions do mention that a little drop of super glue to these parts might help. So yeah. Now that I've got the correct rods and the correct holes, they're not as loose as it was before, so I think these are pretty safe to be just left as they are. And yeah, so that is stage 14 complete. Just one to go. Alright, so for stage 15 we've got the oil pan, protective plate, spark plugs, spark plug wire and wire connectors. Right, so first up, connecting the protective plate to the oil pan. The next step is just to attach a couple of these Type OD04 screws to the engine block, which was completed previously. Now taking the right side of the engine block assembly and the cooling fluid tank bracket from stage 13 and attaching that. And now just sliding in the timing belt assembly from stage 8 into that screw bracket there, and then just attaching that with a Type OD03 screw. And now for the oil pan assembly, just sliding that into the bottom of the engine block. So I've just loosened up those screws there, and I might just tighten them back up again just to get the right height to secure it in place. And now just sliding the top of the engine block, aligning it with those two screws there into these slots at the top. And now just attaching the left side of the cylinder head assembly. So just making sure everything slides into position and it does not fall apart. There we go, so everything's lined up. And now I just need to secure it in with a couple of screws in here. Alright, so there are various parts that are a little bit rattly, but overall it's holding together. Now the next step is to make various lengths of spark wire from this tubing. So I've got it all measured out, so I need looks like 8 different wires that are all different lengths, which are all listed in the instructions. So I'll just go ahead and measure those out and then cut out each part as needed, and I can start attaching it all to the engine. So with each piece of wire cut, I just need to attach to each one a spark plug and a spark wire connector to each length of pipe. So now it's just a case of connecting each wire from the distributor to the spark plug and just following the guide on the instructions as to which wire to put in each hole. Alright, so there's all of the wires connected, and just a final step of attaching a last wire, 2.5 centimeters, to the ignition coil. Which is down here. I'll just attach it in there first. And attach this piece. So there's our stage 15 complete, and with it pack number 2. So compared to pack number 1, which had a few parts that weren't really connected in any way, pack number 2 definitely has started to build up quite a substantial piece, as you can see. And I think there's even more parts for the engine to come in future packs. So be sure to subscribe to the channel to see the rest of the build building up. And again, a big thanks to Agora Models for providing me the opportunity to build up the rest of the car. And I'll put links to information about the model and where you can purchase it in the description below. And yeah, I certainly can't wait to see this beast of a model being built up. As you can see from the size of the engine, it's going to be quite a hefty display piece. I'm not sure where I'm going to put it, but I guess future Sam can worry about that. So in the meantime, this will sit nicely on the shelf while I await for further packs. So just having a quick look at some of the finer details. It's a shame the logo's covered up by these wires, but that's all good. The lovely chrome of the exhausts. You know, some other parts. And yeah, it's has a really nice weight to it. And it feels quite sturdy as well. It doesn't really feel that fragile, except maybe for some of these pipes. So I hope you've enjoyed watching, and if you've got any questions or comments or general feedback, please leave them below. And I hope to see you in the next build video. So until then, thanks for watching, and take care.